situation doesn't control you. It's what you tell yourself about the situation that will control you. Okay? This is based on a theory called rational emotive therapy, RET, and it says that your response to a situation is determined by what you tell yourself about it. Now, for some of you, certain situations will be badder than they are for others of you, even though it's the same situation. I could make the badness of the situation reduce immediately. I'll show you how. If I went back, whoops, if I go back, let's see. Hey, what's it? Oh, I see. Let's see. That one will do. Now, I say to you, the kid has had Bill Rogers as a stand-in for a while because we needed somebody, and he did exactly the same thing to Bill Rogers. Now what's it worth? Is it the same? It's less, mostly. So, how come? Well, you see, first of all, my guess might be that firstborns are going to have higher numbers than others. I don't know. That would be an interesting experiment. But, well, logically, because, you know, it would be worse because I should, if you went back to those earlier statements, I should be able to do things pretty well. So anyone who says I must do, if you agreed with any of those Likert statements, according to Michael Bernard of Melbourne University, you may be at risk. Having said that, how many of you had at least agree for something there? Some of you must have, I'll guess. And if you had agree for a number of them there, it puts you at more at risk. There's a book called Taking the Stress Out of Teaching, and what he showed was, with that questionnaire among others, that he could predict who was more stressed than others in the job. Because the ones who were telling themselves they had to be perfect, and it's really bad when kids say F off, they were the ones, of course, who were more stressed. Others who said, I would prefer the kid didn't talk to me like this. I will do whatever I can to see that it doesn't happen again, but if it happens, it happens. The kid's probably doing this to a lot of teachers over a lot of time, or he's very upset, or he's a D and he's really feeling bad about the world. I'll understand it very differently, and it drops to 5. Yep.
If you're teaching in a specialised...
Loudly.
If you're teaching in a specialised school where this occurs frequently...
Well, let's test it. You go on.
If this occurs frequently in the school, you may be desensitised to it, or since you're expecting it because they're seen as a trouble group or what have you, it may not be as high value than if, say, you're teaching in a private school.
Yeah. That's true. So now, by the way, in China, when kids daydream, teachers rate it as an 80 out of 100, as they might at some private schools. Because children aren't meant to do that to me, because they're meant to connect to me or to my subject, and when they don't, I feel like a failure because it's really important that they do what I say, because I should be able to fix the world, because that's why I got into teaching. I should have the capability to deal with this kid, which is an unrealistic thing to say. So if you find that some of your teachers are highly stressed, the chances are their self-talk is damaging. Yeah. If you can somehow, that would reduce the score, right? Now, it's interesting in the score because I could say to you, who had a higher score for 6 than 7? Anybody? Yeah, okay, some of you will. You weren't going to tell me now because I'll set you up. But is that true? On a once-off occasion, this kid tells you to F off because he's really upset, he's had a terrible day, he thinks you hate him and he's wrong, he can't do what it is you're teaching properly, something explains what he's doing. And if he's done it forever, then it will be even less significant because that's what he does. So we'll have to assume the more shocking, the less frequently, the more shocking. So we're going to have to assume that it doesn't happen all that often. So here's a kid who, a bit almost uncharacteristically in some sense, because if it's more of a part of what he does all the time, it'd be even a lower number, not a high number. So what are you saying to yourself? I mean, think of it. Here, you lost a stack of stuff. I've had people tell me in an interview, it's worse that a child tell me to F off than it is that I had to lose my job and change my profession. And you think, how can that be logical? If you change your profession, no kid's going to run up to you on the street and tell you to F off. So, it doesn't make sense. Changing profession's got to be worse than being told by some kid who's got a problem in a class. So, as I say to you, if you think this resonates at all with either you, which is less likely because you wouldn't be here probably, but certainly some of your teachers and you want to support them, you may have to get quite personal and sort of think of ways of probing this. Yeah.
Addressing in what we're discussing here, the violence issue that is in that statement as well. I don't have a problem with the F off bit.
He pushed you, yeah.
It was the push
Yeah.
that I had the bigger problem with. Yeah.
Now, let's discuss that for a minute. That would be interesting. We'll play this out a bit and we'll get you to think about what you're thinking. The kid pushed you. Now, someone who had a high score, tell me why it is that bad to warrant whatever score. I won't even ask you what it was. But relatively, tell me why it's absolutely bad that he pushed you. Someone, give me a reason. Yes?
Because if you're genuine about you have a right to feel safe,
Yeah.
and as a teacher, a staff member, a trusted adult,
Yeah.
that's violated, that's significant.
Yes.
And it's significant for all those that you did
Yes.
and those that will hear about it. So it's another one of those things where you think, well, there is context, but the reality is you have to act in a certain way in terms of a consequence because of the value set or the right responsibility and the right of the adult
Yeah.
or the teacher to feel safe in their work is really important as well.
Great. Now, someone who will support that, continue building that argument. If you read the paper this morning, you would have seen about zero tolerance versus restorative practices. This is the debate that's currently in the paper.
Well, I actually had the second one where we give the other kid in the face
Yeah.
as worse than me being pushed or told to F off.
Yeah.
Because that's kind of interfering with the other kids' right to feel safe and comfortable.
How many of you? Which one was that?
That's the second one.
Who had this one high? This number 7 higher than 2? Who had 2 higher than 7? Okay, so we can talk about that. Which is more significant, a child's safety being threatened or your safety being threatened? If you had the same, there's no discussion, but some of you all have had it like this, and that means you're saying different things to yourself than the ones who had it like this. So we should explore that thinking, but I want to explore now the basic thinking. The basic thinking